Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Haskell, and I am joined here by Jason Flores, and we are bringing you the Magnum Monday race by Team ODZ here on Zwift Live by ODZ. What a coincidence. And we are so glad to have you here with us this morning. Good morning, Jason. You ready for this? Okay, so this is the Magnum Monday race. It's been going on for about 75 years. Hold on, something in my ear. No, that's not correct, but we'll get that number for you in here in a moment. This race has been a really good one for a long time, more than a year, started by Greg Magnus. And this is a race that occurs every morning to get everybody's legs started. So we want you to reach out to us on social media. If you are watching this event, participating in some way, we would love for you to comment on Facebook Live, on Beam, on YouTube, on Twitch. We'd love to have some commentary from you this morning. Tell us who you think's going to win. Tell us if you think that I've mispronounced something. That's fine too. But we're glad to have you. So Jason, as we look at this field of riders, who are the people that we need to watch for today?
You know, this Monday definitely brings out a crowd. We've got people internationally from all walks of teams and of lands. You're looking at every course, you're looking at A, B, C riders all stacked up. We've got over 85 riders in the pack, and I'm just trying to scroll here, trying to find the leader and trying to find some names. Of course, I'm here on board here with Greg Magnus now, but you're looking at the likes of Justin Wagner, and I saw a couple of names, Faberwowski from the UK, Wallstrom, Chris, there's just from Russia, excuse me,
yeah.
But man, there are names I can't even scroll through fast enough to find all these
They're
names.
going so fast. You know, we've got Dave Leach here this morning, and I think it's Lenny McGraw from what do we call that country? It's down under, that one, Australia. Austria. Put some shrimp on the Barbie. All right, I think it's going to be a Dumb and Dumber morning for you this morning, folks. It's going to be a good one. Jason and I will bring it to you. Today's course is a unique one. It is not just the London Loop. It is the London 8. Jason, tell us a little bit more about what that means. So we're going to go up and over the hill. It's just the normal way. But what's the London 8 include that the regular course does not?
Yeah, London 8 is definitely a fun route. So what it does is takes all the fun parts of London, smashes them all together, and puts pain and swirls it all up. So essentially, we're going up Box Hill, we're coming down the other side, and then you're going to get a chance to do a loop on Classique. And so essentially, what we're doing is a bunch of all the really good looks here of London, Chris.
That's awesome. And as we look over the rider's shoulder here, sitting on board with Dave Leach, he's only a couple meters in front of our ride leader, Greg Magnum, who we'll find there quick in the field. There we are, sitting on Greg Magnum. Or Greg Magnus here for the Magnum Monday. I'm telling you, folks, this is going to be a good one. You do not want to turn away. We're going to have you here and show you some exciting stuff. So as we look around this field, you can get some fabulous numbers by also joining us on Zwift Power. This race is also being tracked on Zwift Power, and it'll help us understand the gaps and the groups that are coming up. We'll use that tool quite a bit today to make sure that all of your favorite riders are mentioned. And we have the ability to jump around to a couple of different cameras this morning. And so we're going to make sure that we do that as well to give you different parts of the field. So as we look at this field shaping up, you know, there's a couple of names I wanted to bring up here. Adam Boyko is one of those names that we have called in the past. Adam Boyko has been the bridesmaid many, many times. No one has finished fourth more than he has. You'd start to think that maybe he's got ownership rights over that, or he's maybe trying to brand fourth place, Jason, that he's trying to find a way to earn some money. You know, Adam Boyko, fourth place. I think today is going to be a breakout day for him, mostly because we've angered him now in the chat. What's a name that you're looking at to have some fun this morning?
You know, last week here when we were broadcasting, there were a couple of the hard hitters that weren't here, and I think they were watching on Zwift Live and they're wishing that they were in this race. From the likes of Justin Wagner and Eric Denning, I think those guys are going to be looking to make sure that this race is not easy. They're going to make sure that the pace is high right from the get-go.
Yeah, you know, and Eric Denning was in the IRL race on Saturday. People are like, IRL race? Yes, he was in the IRL race. Yeah, the IRL race is it's actually just another WBR event. The WBR IRL. You can catch that when it goes off every 5 minutes. But he was in real life race. People do that, Jason. People actually race outside sometimes, and so he was in a race outside. Really taxed his legs and got a good race in. But the question is, will that affect him today? We know that Box Hill, not necessarily his nemesis, but certainly not his friend in a case like this. We know that he's a powerful sprinter, Eric Denning, but can he stick with the fast dudes on the climb? It depends on what he's got. So Magnus pulls to the front here. As we're coming up here, we see a couple of guys just kind of pound past him here. Now, there are a few names that have drifted by our guy here, but are up the road a ways that we won't call their name. If you're watching, you're like, hey, well, what happened to this guy? Well, if he's off the front and he's not with our guy when we start, we just don't count him in the race. A neutral rollout gives every rider an opportunity to get their legs spun out and doesn't do one of these from the gate drop sprints. It's not a BMX race. It's not a horse race. It's a bike race. So what point in the course are we going to see Mr. Magnus here give the go, go, go?
From what I understand, it's 5K out, Chris. So I'm going to 5.6K out. So we're really going to kind of watch this. With each of the courses, it's actually unique.
Yeah,
so we're about sounds like we're about 200 meters to go.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're getting close to getting started here.
This is getting exciting. I like it. And we're going to see right at the gate. Here we go, and we've got the signal, go, 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 go. It's time for these racers to race, and we are going to watch and cheer. So if you're watching with us right now, we've got 2 laps of the London 8, and some really cool things are going to happen here. But this is one of those exciting moments you do not want to miss. Now, Graham Denny, the strong B rider from the UK, he pushes to the front here. He definitely wants to be featured and seen in this field. He's going to make sure that he is up there. Dave Leach jumps to the front as well. Magnus not doing all the work, making sure that he is near the tip of the sword, but not the actual sharp edge. Justin Wags in that group as well. He's been here many, many times. Platinoff also in this group, a name that we know very well. There he is, the man, Adam Boyko, angry, chewing on nails, trying to get to the front of this group and make something happen. He definitely doesn't want to be separated. So, Jason, at the beginning of this race here, we've got one sprinter off the front. We'll come back to you there. Very interesting to see where this is going. I'm going to climb to the front here. That is Justin Wagner pushing off the front. His teammate trying to bridge the gap. Eric Denning trying to pull up to him. And Fabrinovsky also pulling up, trying to make that initial break. We've got some red numbers here, orange numbers rather, pulling off the front here. What is happening, Jason Flores? What's happening at the front of this race right now?
It's getting blown out, Chris. When riders go on this type of break, they want to make sure that they get this separation. For those in the break, they want to make sure that there is a gap that cannot be closed and there is not any way they can make it across. And what they're trying to do is bring as many riders as they can, lure them across this so that they have people to lean on to work with to get themselves a bigger gap as they go. Right now, they've got 3 riders. All they need is about 1 more and they could make this happen.
And it looks like Adam Boyko is trying to bridge that gap right now, wants to be in that group. Johan Wallstrom as well. Webb, the vision rider. We love Webb. Webb is such a strong guy. We see the SZ rider. We see the vision rider. We see Team ODZ in there. This is starting to be a collection of the willing, and see if they can get a gap. Greg Magnus is back there trying to make it happen, but he is sticking with the main group now, 4 seconds back. Adam Boyko also in this group now. It looks like we're getting a collection together. Now, can they really turn the screws and make it happen? It's a little early and it's a little flat, Jason, for my liking. I don't know that they can get away at this point. If there was a hill, maybe so. But as we look over the shoulder, we see this group start to come back together. It was a nice move. It kicked a bunch of people off the back. But enough? We don't know. Okay, as we come under the banner, it is time to seriously see some confetti. That is so pretty. I wonder if they get it in their mouth, those virtual riders. They can't get it out, and it's just not very much fun. But as we see this group come together, we see some names we haven't seen here in a while. We see another Zone 5 racer. It's good to see these Zone 5 riders start to show up and be part of this. We've got Bachman there from Team Type 1 also in this group, doing a nice job at the front. Hubner, another Zone 5 racing folks. You know what? And I'm just going to make a suggestion to our Zone 5 racing guys that it might be okay for you to change that in the tag to Z5R so that it's just a little bit easier to read. Not that you're concerned about whether an announcer can read or not, but you put a long name in there like Schwarzkopfensky, and then you add Zone 5 Racing on it, and I think you're looking at font size 6 on our big monitor here. Okay, so it looks like they're all back together, Jason, and that was just a nice way to soften the legs. It kicked some folks off the back here, but what is the value of a move like that early that doesn't actually result in a break, Jason?
You know, as I was kind of watching it, we had two team riders from Team ODZ kind of hit it really hard, and we had Adam Boyko come across the gap. It almost looked like it was orchestrated, Chris, to make sure that the people that they wanted in this front group were in that group, Chris. I don't know what you think, but I think that might have just been to make sure they got the people in this group and drop the people that were kind of lazy on the back and just blown them away.
I think you are totally wrong, Jason. I couldn't disagree more with that. I didn't know. Yeah, that's what's happening here. Is you're just softening them up. We know that it's not going to be the big move of the day, but it's going to be something that definitely creates more of a selection. There are some folks there who are now chasing on the back who are not going to be able to be featured in this. But there are also some folks in this group who've had to put in way more work than they wanted to at the beginning. I'm looking at, and this is his name, Schlitter, Schleiter perhaps is the way he would pronounce it as well, whose heart rate is exceptionally high, hitting about 175, 178, sitting in this main field doing about 220 watts. Now that is a huge heart rate for that low of a wattage, unless of course you are me, and then that is quite normal. But he's managed to get back up with this group, but that's going to cost him later in the day. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty, so we're hearing things from the team car that things are interesting and happening back there. We're going to see some action. We see Adam Boyko off the front now, 5 seconds up. Somebody trying to bridge up to Adam. It looks like Faberovsky, the way rider, riding with this as well. Van Grondel also in there and chasing Bachman, the Team Type 1 rider, hanging back there. It looks like we have a little break of 2. It's coming down. We're passing Whitehall right now. We're coming down toward Victoria Garden Square. We're going to go across the Tower Bridge there, or excuse me, I believe that's the London Bridge. I'll double check our handy dandy cheat sheet here. I'm sorry, this is the Westminster Bridge that we're about to cross right here. But they've got a little bit of a gap, 3 seconds to Van Grondel and 6 seconds to the body in the main field. As we come down to this area, can you describe, maybe for some folks who are watching this for the first time or may need a reminder about tactics, when you want to put in these big digs of power, when is it most valuable to make a move that's actually going to create separation, Jason?
There's really only a couple places that really make a lot of sense, especially in this team type of tactics, or actually also as an individual. It's going to be when you're going into the wind or when you're going uphill, Chris. Those are the two times that you'll find you'll be able to get some sort of separation. I'm on the camera looking backwards from Adam's onboard, and it looks like he's got a little bit of a gap, and he's about 6 seconds there, and we're about to go up. So he's going to get as much separation as he can before they go down into the tubes and come out at Box Hill. If he can come out with a couple seconds before going up, that's going to be to his advantage.
I think you're right. Now we've got a pretty sizable gap now, about 7-8 seconds as they come across Westminster Bridge here. We can see them overhead, and the folks are chasing. As we look over the shoulder of our rider here, Adam Boyko, we can see the cone of the golden cone, basked in the golden glow, our ride leader, Greg Magnus, and they are a fair way back, but that can be chewed up pretty quickly. And can you maybe talk about, just for a moment, Jason, the patience in the peloton, having spiked these heart rates early on, to just let a group of 3 or 4 like this, drift off the front here? What's their thinking? I mean, are they concerned about this move this early in the race, especially coming up to the hill here?
I think with Box Hill, the consideration they need to make is that they are still in a large group and they can use that to their advantage going up. One, there is still an aero advantage as you go up, but also it's the mental advantage of having wheels in front of you to be able to follow at a steady pace going up this hill, versus you constantly looking back and making sure that you're not getting caught or the gaps aren't coming down on you. So I think definitely in that group, they are going to want to use each other to get each other mentally up the hill, where rather they by themselves not push themselves that hard.
Right. I think that's a good way to describe it. Okay, so we've got Fabernoski, we've got Adam Boyko in this group, we've got Van Grondel, and there's another one there that his name. No, it just looks like a trio here. We do have a workout rider who's kind of in the mix here, just kind of sticking on. That'll change as the attitude of the course changes, as we start to pitch up just a little bit. 7 seconds back there to Schleider, to Webb, Wallstrom, Denny, Hubner, all at the tip of the sword there. Platinov sitting on that group as well. Mark Lennox, the Canadian, who I think we're going to see good things from today. Eric Denning also hanging in that group. And the patience of Justin Wagner, who's won this race many, many times in the past. What I like that we're seeing here is we're seeing a number of different riders who are from different teams making this early move. Now, this, as they hit the hill, is starting to back off a little bit. Adam Boyko holding 5.5 watts per kilo. We are starting to see this close down. But the aerodynamic advantage is going to start to drift away very quickly here as they become one strong, long line as they come up here. Schleider in that group as well, the Norwegian rider. Flying the Norwegian flag. We've got Almeida Franklin from Brazil in this group as well. This is a wonderful international group here this morning, and that's always fun to see. So, Jason, as we hit this hill, what are things that will create advantage for a rider or prevent them from getting shelled off the back at this point?
Here, this is a really important part where a rider needs to understand that they need to ride within their limits. Of course, when you hit the bottom of this hill, everybody's going to go off the chain. They're going to push down hard, and you just need to just do enough to make sure you stay on that wheel in front of you. But you need to know your limits because people are going to start to come back. This course or this climb is done in about anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes for riders, depending on category. So people are just physiologically going to go slower towards the top if they've hit the bottom way too hard, Chris.
We've got a big move hitting it hard as you mentioned just a moment ago. Justin Wagner pushing off the front here, and he has created quite a bit of interest around this move. Webb, the Vision rider, wants to come with him. Fabernoski also wanting to come with him. The Russian Federation rider, and they are pushing hard at the front here. Adam Boyko turning in a big dig, trying to catch onto the back of this group. Schleider also trying to make a move there, the Norwegian rider. Wallstrom also not wanting to miss this selection. They know how important the first climb is. They definitely want to be there at the front. And to the point, Adam Boyko pulls through to the front of this group as well. And we are seeing some folks get real serious as we come up here. They definitely want to be a part of this group. So, Jason, maybe help us understand who did not make this early selection.
So yeah, Chris, I am actually in the chase group. So we've got that group that you're talking about, and about 20 seconds back, I've got the likes of Kay Aaron, David Leach, Hayashi from Japan, JMK from the UK, Z Kreider, and T Craddock. We've got a group of about 6 or 8 riders, and it's growing as we make our way up Box Hill. We've got both male and female riders coming up this hill at a nice steady pace around just under 4.0.
That's excellent. We're going to try to give you some rundowns. We've been talking about the rundown as far as helping you understand what is shaping up on the course. We've gotten some great feedback from the viewers, so make sure that you are giving us views and ideas as well. But we're going to have our guy Jason give us a rundown of where everybody is in the field. Now, this is not just name spamming here. We want to give you a sense of what the groups are, how they're forming, and where people are on the course, because you're following somebody. You may be following a Graham Denny today. today. You may be, following a Bachmann, the Finnish rider. You may be interested in Eric Denning. You know what? You may not be interested in Eric Denning. Let's be honest about that, but that's okay. Maybe you're following our Australian folks and you want to know where Dave Leach is on the ride. Well, there are over 70 riders now still in this group, in this module. So we want to try to call as many of their names as possible. So J-Flo, give us a sense of the rundown. What are the groups that are starting to form, and who are we seeing?
So I'm pulling up Zwift Power now, but I've got the group that we just mentioned, the Z Rider.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to throw it back to Jason here. Let me turn up his audio here. My mistake on the board. Go right ahead.
Go ahead. All right, so here we go. I've got the likes of Z Rider and R Welsh here pushing it up the hill. They're going above 4.5, but as I scroll back just past David Leach, there is another group of JP Daly, Hiyashi, A Rink, and T Woods forming a group just 30 seconds behind that. So as we move back, we've got another 15 seconds. We got the likes of Max Brenz, Nordstrand, and McGraw, 15 seconds behind that.
Excellent. Okay, so as we climb down this group a little further, and again, we are pulling these numbers off of Zwift Power. We see some groups forming. It looks about 20 seconds back, about 35 seconds back. Another group hovering around a minute back. Who's in that minute back? Did you mention some of those folks?
Yeah, that same group. It's got one of our female riders, Kreider and Crowder, in the group there from Team X, and then MK from the UK. That's about 1 minute back. We'll see if I can go a little further down. T Woods, M Keith, there we go. About a minute 20 as that group is rolling there, and that's a group of 6 riders there. Max Brennan is there. This is a tight group, Chris. It's about 6 or 8 riders. This can definitely make a dent as they go up Box Hill.
All right, now sitting about 3 minutes back, probably shelled in that that early move by our guy Justin Wagner, who again is still sitting in this main group that we are watching right now. The shelled in that original move was another big group, including Jorge Andrade, Lee from Korea, Dick Brown, Lang, another one of our women's riders, Matsumura. So great to see so many women's riders in this group. Baum, also in that group, a women's rider. Ka from Japan, and McGrath, who's also a little bit further back in that group. We see, those sitting about 3 minutes back, still working together, still racing, still making a big difference here today. So that's important. Okay, so as we rejoin this main group, and thank you very much, Jason. By the way, if you are watching, you can check out those numbers on Zwift Power, and you can click the live button in the upper right-hand corner to see what some of these gaps are. Now, on this course, Jason, maybe you can help us understand this. There aren't quite as many watchers. I mean, that's a kind of an interesting name that not a lot of people know much about. But can you maybe explain to us what a watcher is and what they have to do with Zwift Power?
Oh, yeah. So essentially, watchers are little checkpoints along the race. They're used both in cycling and in running races in real life. And what it allows to do is give announcers like us, as well as all the people crunching the numbers in the background, essentially segment times. For example, halfway up Box Hill, the top of Box Hill, going downhill on the other side. So a lot of places, or on this course, there's just not so many good places to kind of put it on the turns. So essentially, we have a couple less places to check in to see where everybody's at. But it does allow us and give us the gaps like we're calling out to the audience today.
Excellent. Yeah, and that is the key, so that we can see what's going on. All right, as we come up and over this hill, we see a move of interest here, and that is Webb pushing up and over the top, making sure that he is fast and early. They have come up and across this. We're going to make sure that we give you all the details here at the front of the race, as well as those that are down the way just a little bit. Okay, as we see this group coming up and over the hill, lots and lots of excitement. We lock in with our group with Webb, Wagner, Boyko. Schleider managed to grab onto this group after chasing for a little while. Heroic move to get back to this group. They are descending fast, and they are going to keep descending fast. This is a big group on the descent here. It is really, really cool to see. So as they come up and over this hill, we know that the aerodynamic effect coming downhill is much, much better. We're not going to beat that dead horse today. Well, we might, but we'll do it on the second lap instead of right now. But we see some folks in here. Jason, as you're looking at this group, who are the folks that we need to pay close attention to in this group? Who's got the best chance? And honestly, I'm going to ask you this, who's fraudulent? Who's just lucky to be there, probably has zero chance of getting anything, may not even finish the race? Who do you think that's going to be?
Here's the thing, Chris. When you look at this crowd going downhill and who has made this separation, anytime what you want to do is you want to look to see if any B riders have made this. And I'm kind of looking at the list, and it looks like we've just got a strong collection of A riders. So essentially, those guys, that are going to be able to put out 4.0 watts or above average as watts per kilogram. I don't think I can see a weak link here, but let me keep looking here.
Yeah, keep looking, because there's got to be one.
There's got to be one. The only thing I can go with is people who don't have any calibration, or people that we haven't seen before. And really, I don't have a name to call. I'm sorry, Chris.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna say then it's probably Justin Wagner, because you can't keep this going for as long as he has. He's just had too much success. Now, whenever Wagner hears me make fun of him and call his name, it's almost like he gets an extra 20 watts that he can use and throw out wherever he chooses. So we want to again encourage anybody who happens to be watching or participating in our different social media locations to join us and chat. We love to have you chat. We can read those chats along the way. If you are watching on Beam, if you're watching on Facebook, and in many of the other locations as well. So this is pretty cool stuff. We're glad to have you along with us today. We want to thank John Mora for jumping in, for Pat O'Neill, the Night Train, for jumping in with us as well. We love having you guys here and getting your comments. We've got lots of watchers in those different areas. It's really fun to see. So we've got all of our chats being aggregated into one location, so let us know who you are and where you are from. John Mora says, tough course. So thank you very much for joining us. They come and up and over the big hill here. We see a little bit of a move by Fabianowski, Fabirovsky, the Russian Federation rider. He gets a little bit of a gap here. Wallstrom, Wags, and Okubo now just about a second back. Webb actually 3 seconds back, and chasing, trying to get back on as they come up to the Tower Bridge here. This is a bad spot to be. What is the cost, Mr. Flores, of this little separation here for our guy Webb?
The problem here is it's pretty flat, Chris. So you really have got to put down, and we're seeing him put down the likes of 700 plus watts just to barely get back on the wheel, and I think he has made it back. But it is tough to make it because they've got the arrow. It's a flat course. You've got nothing going for you. It's just 0% out there.
Okay, it is. Okay, let's take a moment. Our folks would like to know where some of their favorite riders are on course. And again, we're using Zwift Power to pull some of these numbers up for you. But can you help us understand a rundown? Now, we know who's in this main group. The Russian Federation rider who rides for Way, that's Fabirovsky. We've got Adam Boyko, the Canadian. We've got Okubo, the Japanese rider. We've got Wallstrom in this group from the Netherlands. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, the Netherlands. We've got Webb, the UK rider, the Vision rider. We've got Justin Wagner, the American. That is our lead group. But what does the rest of the field look like?
So in the next group back, we've got our ride leader, Greg Magnus, along with Eric Denning and Graham Denning, along with M. Lennox from Canada. So that's our next group back. That's about a minute
Mark
coming
Lennox
down.
Mark Lennox is a strong rider, too. I would imagine
Absolutely.
that he's going to be someone to feature in that group.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a couple of others, B-Tex from the U.S., and K. Aaron and M. Moto. So yeah, that's that next group back, about a minute and anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes back, and they're trying to group up. That's a group of 12 riders there, Chris. If they can make that happen, I think they can definitely close that gap little by little.
All right, so where is our lead female rider in the group right now? That looks to be Z. Kreider in that group.
It is.
Yeah, man.
2 minutes and 15 seconds back, and she has actually made up some ground coming over Box Hill and coming down. So she's passed quite a number of people coming down that other side.
That is excellent. Descending well, getting some separation on the next female rider, which appears to be Kala, with the running the Chinese flag today. Still coming up and over Box Hill. She's actually at the Box Hill Arch. That's one of the other nice things about our tool here, Zwift Power. Now, it's not our tool, it's a tool. Not unlike your announcers here, a couple of tools, but we use these different tools to be able to do the things that we need to. And one of the things I like that they've added to this in the last year is the ability to see where they are on course, basically the last watcher that they passed. And so you can spot that and know quite a bit. So if you can't watch or listen to a race, you can have this up on your computer at work. You can be a virtual cycling degenerate and watch these races and think to yourself, oh man, Bachman from Team Type 1 is now on the Tower Bridge exit. And the other guys are up there on the Prudential Arch entry location. They're doing pretty good, which is really fun to see. Oh, we're getting reports that our helicopter is having a little bit of trouble because it started to rain here on virtual London. Excellent. Wallstrom is Swedish. Thank you, Jerry, for correcting us there in the chat. We appreciate you. 130 off the back. Mills Keeling also on that course. Thanks for jumping in and chatting with us in these different locations. We appreciate you. If you can, let us know where you are watching from. Are you watching while you ride? Are you watching from work? Don't worry. We probably won't tell your boss. But we're glad to have you with us. Lots of folks watching from lots of places. And thanks for joining us here on the Restream and the chat aggregator through Restream. We appreciate that a ton. Okay, so this course, Jason, has kind of a storied history. But what I don't understand, and maybe you can help me make more sense of this, is that this, which is the figure 8, doesn't actually go up Fox Hill. It only goes up Box Hill. We don't have a reverse direction on this. Any thoughts as to maybe course variations that could be coming in the future? I'm not asking you to play the mystic here and read the mind of someone like John Mayfield, but how would what are some different ways that we can use this course for this race maybe in the future?
Chris, obviously there's a whole lot of roads that are available around these same roads in real life. So I think the possibilities could definitely be endless, but really just reversing courses and allowing them to kind of take turns and come back on themselves the same way we kind of have on Watopia, it allows a lot more variation. So it's essentially just putting kind of a course together to be able to allow to go back and forth, because I've done workouts going on the backside of Fox Hill and it's a whole different view actually, and it's definitely a different effort than Box Hill on the opposite side. So the views on reverse, it's a whole nother world.
Yeah, I'd like to see that happen. Okay, so we're seeing another big move here. Wallstrom actually with the big push off the front, but it looks like our guy Webb got trimmed off the back again, and that is really unfortunate to see. Wallstrom, Faberovsky, Boyko, Okubo, Wags, and Webb, who's just kind of getting trickled off the back here. Heart rate fairly low still, sitting at the 130s. He put in a little bit of an effort there. Heart rate came up here. But let's see how this kind of shakes out for us this morning. Question about this group here. Wallstrom, who is the Swedish rider here, has had a lot of success in this event before. What do you see as the potential for our guy Johan here to be able to have success today in this race? He's got 62 races under his belt.
Man, that is definitely a great history, but you know what? They have numbers. And really, Chris, it's just a numbers game as they come into this lap and come up to Box Hill. They need riders with them, and essentially it's going to be that bunch effort up that hill that's going to make that gap larger and also bring them over with their other riders to make it that final push.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is a big move. I mean, normally we would be talking about, all right, now here's what the group has to do to catch on, but this is a big, strong group. Faberovsky, Webb, Franklin, the Brazilian rider, Wallstrom, Wagner's. And yeah, the Brazilian rider actually with a little push off the front here. Panic from the team car. Maybe not panic, but certainly interest. Franklin is DQ'd. Okay, not sure why. We'll get that from that from the commissar a little bit later. Maybe neutral start violation. So what we need to do is we need to find somebody in the field who speaks Portuguese, who can communicate with that rider. Oh, you know what? Justin Wagner speaks Portuguese. That'll be his responsibility in the future. We'll just make a note of that for the report. Okay, Justin Wagner assigned as that person. Okay, so as we look at this group, you know what? And Franklin may not be able to get the finish that they would desire, but they definitely are still enjoying this race. But if you're watching, don't DQ yourself. Try to discover the rules of the race, even if you don't speak the language, and make those available. If John Mayfield, I know you listen to everything that we do, and you are glued to your seat. You've got a little steno pad in your lap, John Mayfield, and you are sketching down notes. Here's a note for you. John Mayfield, the brainchild behind this wonderful tool, lead programmer, captain of the Code Monkeys there in the basement of the Long Beach office in Zwift. We would love the ability to have multiple languages, including multiple character sets available so that we could communicate, ride leaders could communicate in other languages. It's not too hard to have a digital notepad on your computer with the Korean version of, hey, stay behind the beacon. Or the Japanese version where we can throw those, text characters in there. That would be really handy in a situation like this. Now, we can certainly add the special characters for Portuguese or for Spanish. We'll do that in the future to help remind some of those folks. But those additional language pieces would be really important. And also, I know Greg Magnus is taking detailed notes as well while he rides. We can tell that because we look at his watts per kilo, and they're just not very high. He's not working very hard back there in that group today. But his heart rate's kind of high. I'm not sure what that's about. But probably what we can do is we can use a little Google Translate and add these to the ride description. Just a short, description in 3 or 4 languages, which should stick over, those different, I guess. American. Those English style characters. Yes. Okay. So as we look at this, it's time for another rundown, Jason. And we'd like to know where these groups are as we look at Zwift Power. We can see these groups a little bit better. Do you want to help us understand who's chasing this lead group? And I'm happy to jump over to your camera as well if you are pursuing a chase group. Just let me know when it's time. You may not be able to at this point because we're getting to that point in the course where the watchers are so far apart that it's hard to jump around to the different groups. I'm staying on the lead group. My co-broadcaster Jason is in different spots, but actually I see your camera here, and when it's time I'll jump over to it. But maybe help us understand what's happening in the rundown here.
Yeah, so what I got, I'm actually with a group about 1 minute behind the group that we've been following on the main camera. We've got the likes of B. Whitaker, M. Lennox, and Van Grondo, who was in that original break in our first lap, Chris. So that's 3. I'm looking at 5 riders with Blackman and June from Japan here. So we've got 5 riders here in the break, in the chase group, about 90 seconds back, trying to work together and just work together to get to the end of this race pretty much. 90 seconds with this much left of racing is not a whole lot.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, we are coming up on the final lap here, and it looks like our guy Webb has drifted off the back again. The question is, how many more times can that happen for him to be able to stay with the group? If I'm going to predict here, and I'm not a mystic, but I play one on TV, I think that these little efforts to get him back on the front, or to get him back with the group, these separations of sometimes 10 or 20 meters, where he's got to do a little bit more work than the folks who are just sitting in the field, is going to cost him that effort that he would like to be able to hang on to. Now, I can tell you from my race on Saturday, I was also in an IRL race. Justin Wagner with a big push on the front. He's got to signal me before he does that. We could have missed it. But he jumps on the front here. He's got a big sprint. We'll see who comes with him. This just seems to be an effort to soften up the legs of these guys. This is on the flat. It's not a real opportunity. They're going downhill, so he doesn't have any real watts per kilo advantage here. He's just putting in a big dig and making these guys respond. And Faburovsky the Russian Federation rider does exactly that. Webb with a big push coming around him. Faburovsky now taking over the front, but these watts per kilo drop down again real low as we come through a cloud of confetti here. Those guys did everything that they wanted to do. Now, there is a real advantage for our guy, Justin Wagner here, because he has a teammate in the group. We've got a Vision rider. We've got an SZ rider. We've got two different ODZ riders in this group. A nice thing about this event here is that we can see their jerseys. They haven't been forced a jersey at this point. So if we look at this lead group, lots of interesting things happening here. Quick question for you. So if you are a team here, what's a tactic that benefits you in this group versus three other basically solo riders, the only rider representing their team? What's the strategy play here for a two-man squad?
So with this two-man group, there's a couple different things that you can do. But what we've seen the most of here on Zwift is essentially a counter and then a counterattack. So you would send someone out to really push the pace, and as that rider gets brought back, boom, you put another attack in, forcing all those other single riders to really put efforts out because they're not organized, they may not know what's going on, but in your head, you know you've got your teammate and that rider is going to be coming back, and you let those other riders pull them back, and your other teammate, boom, hits another counterattack. And this is just a way you go back and forth, you yo-yoing and making those other riders really do some work to kind of put their legs into this.
I think that's a perfect description of it. So in the chat here, we want to definitely thank the folks who are kicking in. So Brent Buxton asks, and I'll throw this to you, J Flo. How does everyone have a Tron bike, and how does one obtain it? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. So essentially, it's one of the challenges here we have on Zwift, and what you need to do is climb 50,000 meters worth of climbing, and the challenge is actually called the Everest Challenge because that's the amount of height or altitude the Everest climb is. So essentially, you would need to find hills.
Yeah.
Several climbs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, from the team car, clearly not working hard enough. We hear one of the riders remind us that it's several times up Everest, because that rider who mentioned that, who will remain nameless, has ridden up the real Everest on his bike. Not as hard as you would think. It's a little steep in spots. It's the descent that'll kill you. So yeah, but Dan Jewell also in the group there, 50,000 meters on the Everest Challenge. Think you need to check who Adam Webb is in Z-Power. I think you're absolutely right. Let's find out who Adam Webb is. We'll take a peek here. Is it Z-Power? No, he's talking about Zwift Power. Sorry about that. Oh wow, he's got some really cool and exciting stuff. He's from the UK, only 114 races, so he's relatively new. And I could make my usual joke, which is 114 racers. He's had the account for 3 days. He's just done all the WBR events. That is my favorite joke, and I apologize for running it into the ground, but I don't think we're done with it quite yet. So Adam Webb from the UK, we're going to drill down and find out just a little bit more about him, but definitely a strong rider in this race today. So we'll give you a quick rundown here again. I'll do it at this time. To give you a sense of who folks are. We know who this lead group is. Do you want to just tell us a little bit more about this lead group, J Flo? I know that you're following them as I am too. Actually, you're following the Chase group. Actually, you stay with the Chase group, and I'll give you this lead group here. So we've got Faburovsky, who's the Russian Federation rider. They are coming through. They're up here near the Strand right now. Just finished the top section, coming up, getting ready to come back toward Whitehall, toward Trafalgar Square, back down toward Victoria Tower Gardens to the Westminster Bridge. That's where they are on the course. And you've got in that group Johan Wallström, the Swedish rider, Adam Boyko, the Canadian, and Webb again. That is Adam Webb from the UK. Strong Vision rider. And we like our Vision riders. They're a great squad, have some high-level performers, great stuff. Whitaker is in that Chase group of about a minute back. Franklin, the Brazilian rider who had a break here for just a little while, has slipped off the back now. But in that chase group, about a minute and a half back there, actually a little bit closer to 2 minutes, we've got the next big collection of people that you're going to want to watch. Mark Lennox from the UK, Van Grondel, we've got Blackman, we've got Magnus in the following group, chasing with Denning and Graham Denny. Boy, Graham Denny has done an amazing job coming from the C ranks to the B ranks to the really high B ranks, and he's definitely putting in the time. We've seen it. We know that he's putting in good efforts. So we've got Jew in that group as well. Welch is in the next group, leading the Travers Bikes group behind, right? Welch from the UK, Craddock, MK Benjamin, rounding out the top 20 is Moto. Tex is in the the Z5R, the Zone 5 Racing rider. B-Tex is in that group of about 3 minutes back. Now, we tend to see some individuals. We tend to see some small groups. The next small group, sitting about 20 places back, we see Craddock, MK, and Benjamin. Then it's about another minute and a half back to Leach, Rink, Aaron, Hubner, and then just a little bit further behind, we've got a next big collection of Daly, MGCC, which we'll drill down to that name for you in a moment. Chua from Asia, Woods and McGraw as well in that group. We see these folks in collections all throughout the race, and it's good to see them. Now, this race is so long, this course is so long, that it's easy for some of those times to get screwed up, and sometimes people jump up in the collection. As we look at this lead group now, we see Wallstrom coming to the front of this group. We're going to see about 5 watts per kilo from most of these folks. There may be a big push, but you gave some great advice to these riders early on in this race, and that is the strategy here. Can you talk a little bit more, J-Flo, about climbing this hill in the pace that suits you? Not necessarily responding to every single piece. And I say that as Adam Boyko decides he's going to take a big dig here off the front. So we'll return to that question momentarily as Adam Boyko gives a big push here in the front. He is not staying within his own. It looks like Webb is in trouble. Wagner was actually at the back of that group, still chasing to catch on to the wheel of his teammate, making sure that he's part of this selection. Webb hanging on this group. As we look over Webb's shoulder, heart rate starting to increase here, 400 watts, 145 beats per minute. Adam Webb, a strong rider. Wallstrom also making this cut. So it's settled down a little bit. So we'll return to that question, J-Flo. What is the real strategy here for an individual rider to make sure that they come over the top with this group?
I definitely think it's really important. And so what the question was how does each individual gauge as they go up and not responding to every single spurt of high wattages? So essentially, in your mind, you need to know what you can hold, and you need to know your time up Box Hill so that you can stay within those limits to be able to push yourself to the limit of what's going on. You need to be aware of all the other riders around you. You need to know your limits and gauge that to be able to get over, and know that if somebody's going way out of that range and they've already done this lap 2 times, you're not going to find them doing that the whole way up Box Hill. There's just physiologically, it's not going to happen. So you know that they're going to kind of crawl back. So you need to find yourself in that groove and find that comfort and just go to that pain spot, Chris.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So, Christopher Peltzer, who is in the chat here, asks a great question. And as we're watching the action here, we're not really pulling away from it. We're going to continue to call it. We saw another big move by Justin Wagner. We're seeing a little Rochambeau from these two teammates right now. We see a Boyko attack. People pull it back. We see a Wagner attack. People pull it back. That is those softening body blows that we would expect to see. Wagner with another big push off the front here. He's making these boys respond. Boyko sits on the back, doing much less. Oh, we see a power drop from Justin Wagner. That can be costly on a ride, a climb like this, on a race like this. And I don't know if that was just a missed pedal stroke or something else amiss with his equipment. Maybe his drill ran out of power. I'm just totally kidding. He's a strong rider using his own power here. We're not going to give him too much grief today. But he is listening, so we will give him some, of course. Now, we're seeing that back and forth, that throwing those punches. We come back to this question by Christopher Peltzer here, which is, may I ask why everyone is pushing pushing such a low wattage at the moment. All of the A races that I enter into is 300 watts plus consistently. Is this a special event? Well, that's a great question, Chris, and we appreciate you kicking that in here. I'm sure that these riders would object to that characterization. But we did see a moment here, and I'll actually throw this question for a detailed answer to our guy Jason Flores, that about the they were in the flatter section of this course, coming back together, kind of looking around at each other. Maybe when you saw that, the watts per kilo are definitely much higher. People burning 300 watts plus right now as they come up and over this hill. But I'll throw that question to Jason for a better answer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the thing about this is when the courses get longer, when you're looking at riders or races, that are longer than 60 minutes in length, you find a couple other things coming into fact. And one of those are team tactics, and the other is as a group, the group dynamic. So for example, if a group is on a flat and everyone is pushing a lower wattage, let's say in the 250s to 300s, and people can sit and essentially put in the same amount of effort and allow yourself to go that same speed you would be if you were at 300, there is a benefit to that. So then when you get to this hill, like I'm on board here with Mark Lennox doing 365 watts up the hill, you've got that ability to really push it up Box Hill if you can just get a little bit of that tempo work on that flat end. So again, the bottom end question is as you get a longer race going, as you get these undulations going up and down Box Hill, you're going to see team tactics as well as peloton dynamics come into play, and people trying to find their ways to get their rest and trying to get that group to kind of slow down in the flat so that you can push hard up the hills, Chris.
Absolutely, and as we look on board to your camera, we see Lennox there, Mark Lennox in that group, strong triathlete, strong runner, strong bike rider. We pull back to this main group here, and we are seeing, again, punches thrown back and forth. These guys are not pacing steady up the hill, not looking at each other. They are trying to get a selection here, and this is getting exciting. Boy, it's fun to see when stuff like this works out. So we are seeing guys going back and forth on this climb. Adam Boyko pushes to the front. Justin Wagner with a big dig here. They are just throwing back and forth, and we see Justin Wagner making sure that he's sitting in here, no gaps. Adam Webb, the vision rider, doing a great job staying with this group. We are seeing exciting stuff happening in this lead group today. Some great tactics. They are not content to sit and watch the miles go by and sprint for the end. They're trying to create action and excitement right here. And as we come up and over, we see this strong group of 4 riders now. Fabirovsky, the Russian Federation rider, Justin Wagner, the American, Adam Webb, the UK rider, and Wallström, the Swedish rider, all together looking for an exciting finish. And Adam Boyko, the cagey Canadian. Excellent. Okay, so we've lost Johan Wallström here. He's off the back a little bit. We come up and over, and we see the wide view as we come under the Continental Tires King of the Mountain banner. Hey, Continental Tires, why don't you sponsor this event and give us some prizes that we can give away and some things that we can ride on? Don't you think that's a good idea? I think it is. Well, as we come back to this, I see that you are following very closely, J Flo, what's going on the hill. What excitement are you watching right now here in the middle of this race?
So what I'm looking at, Chris, is I've got 2 riders by the name Backman and Lennox, about 44 seconds ahead of a larger group with the likes of Eric Denning, Graham Denning, Jew, Magnus, and Van Grondel that are chasing those 2 up the hill. So I've been watching these 6 riders kind of close gaps, but not much is moving on the meter as far as 45 seconds between those 2. But this group of 6 is really making...
Yes, they are. I'm going to pull away from you for just a moment. We're seeing some action on the front. Justin Wagner, seeing the little bumper hill coming, decides he's going to put in a big dig, gets a gap on his guys, and puts Webb and Fabirovsky and even his teammate Adam Boyko in a spot of bother, as it were, for those of you who like that turn of phrase. Many people don't, but I kind of do. They come up and over this hill. It was a little bit of a dig. They had to catch on, and we can hear the train coming through. Super exciting to see, and they are really putting out the power right now. As we look at this group, they are descending this hill. We'll lock in and give you an exciting angle and see what these riders come up with. This is going to be super exciting. Now, as we look around to these different folks. I think that the first time in a long time we see somebody here who can definitely put Justin Wagner in the hurt box, especially here at the end. My question to you, is there a chance that Adam Webb, the vision rider, can out-sprint our guy, Justin Wagner, the many-time, 5, 6, 7-time winner of this Magnum Monday race?
You know, Chris, considering how much history he has, and I know Vision, the Vision team has a very tight training schedule, I can definitely feel him being a contender. And knowing that Justin's coming off a huge block of training and a lot of outdoor riding out there, Chris, everyone's on their wits' ends for this race. But I definitely think Adam Webb could be a contender today.
You know, he's done so many races. Let me just give you a few of the finishes for this guy as we descend down this hill. We come up to the big finish here. The last race that Adam did was the XRS Crit, which was a flat race, and he won it. He's got lots of top 10 finishes over the last month. He won the EVR Asia race, but let's be honest, I won the EVR Asia race at one point. So we won't count that one as an A race. Lots and lots of podiums, lots and lots of wins. So we know that it's in his pedigree. Adam Webb could do that today. But Justin Wagner, in his own right, is a strong finisher. As we look over his details, we see quite a bit of the same type of performance. So Justin Wagner has quite a few podiums. The Coffee Ride podiums, Magnum Monday podiums. These tend to be the races he does the most. He took that pretzel as well. All right, so as we're coming into the big finish here, we know that we're going to get a tight finish. We're going to be able to see that module. I know that you are already in position to give us that final view. That our watcher is going to give us that final rundown here at the end. But we see this group of Faburovsky, the Russian Federation rider, Boyko, and Adam Webb. Oh, we see a big move now from Adam Boyko. Not surprising at all that these boys are putting together the team tactics. We're coming up to the big finish now here, and it looks like Webb is going to jump on his wheel. It looks like our guy Wagner allowed that gap to open up a little bit too big. That's always the danger when you have your teammate attack, that you could have some problems. He is now, trying to catch on to the back here. When you're Rochambeauing, going back and forth here, they hit the big 15%er. Adam Webb jumps to the front, and he's going to make a big move here. He continues to push hard over the top. His watts drops a little bit. He makes sure that he's on there, and then he kicks it up again as he comes out of the tube tunnel. We see the boys strung out there. Adam Boyko now off the back. We lock in with this group. We are seeing exciting things happening, and this isn't even the finale. Fabrinovsky comes to the front here. Wagner is getting his work in today. Boyko manages to pull back to the group, and this wasn't even the big attack. This is so exciting. This is why you watch the Magnum Monday race. This is why you tune in, because of all the fireworks. We see Vision, we see ODZ, we see Way Riding all at the front here coming across the Tower Bridge with this big, exciting finish. Okay, so as we get close to the end here, and I may shout over the top of you to pull away, who is your odds-on favorite to win this race today, Jason?
I like underdogs, and I like people who are not the contenders, and I feel like it's going to be Adam Webb today. He has done everything he could. He's dumped everything he's had in his legs to make sure that these Team ODZ riders haven't gotten away, and he is still here on the wheels, Chris. So my money goes on Adam Webb today.
So we are 1,000 yards out, and we see Adam Boyko put in another big dig. Teammates throwing back and forth. Webb has to catch that wheel. How much does he have left in the tank? His heart rate is definitely going up, but this guy can put down some watts. His watts per kilo is fabulous. We are coming into the close of this race. Justin Wagner sitting on the wheel of his rival now. Adam Webb coming around, jumps on the wheel of Adam Boyko. They are starting to ramp it up, but Wagner goes 12.0 watts per kilo. Webb jumps on his tail here. We are seeing exciting stuff happening here as they come to the end here. Big finishes as they lock in here. We see this amazing view. Webb trying to catch on. He is closing the gap on Wagner. Wagner all out. Can he do it? Can he come up to this line? Webb on the tail. He's coming up. Wagner, it looks like he made, yes, and he passes him. Webb takes it from him at the end. Unreal. Unreal. What an amazing finish. The king dethroned. Webb from the Vision takes over and wins this race for the first time. No shame whatsoever to Wagner. He had the team tactics. He had the teammate in the group. They threw as many punches at that rival as they possibly could, and they managed to get a podium for sure, but he comes around him at the very end. Oh my goodness. Now this race is not over. Pat O'Neill says, get it, get it. Great seeing the chat from the folks here, but we have a couple more big questions to answer, so don't go away quite yet. As we fall back in this group, we make sure we jump on the next rider. I am looking over the shoulder of Bachman. This is not the race for the podium here. This is the race for the B podium. We're going to see who's going to get this B podium here today, and we know that it's going to be between Lennox and Bachman. So Lennox, the ODZ rider, Bachman, the Team Type 1 rider, and we do love our Team Type 1 riders, but Bachman is going to have to push and get on the wheel of Lennox because he is moving ahead of him right now. That is not what you want to see. That gap is growing. Mark Lennox over 5 watts per kilo, Bachman sitting about 4.5. Maybe he's just biding his time here. Maybe he's just taking his time saying this is not the big move. But gaps are gaps, especially on the flat, J-Flow. What is the move here for our guy Bachman? It seems like he's almost sitting up. Wait, we see a little bit of a tick there. Maybe he's getting some commentary from in his ear from the team car telling him, all right, it's time for you to go. But Mark Lennox now has what looks to be 3 seconds on him. Who do you see taking this one, J-Flow?
You know, both Lennox and Bachman have been trading spots back and forth, but you know, Lennox has really spent a lot of time there in the front, and right now he's showing that if you want to follow me to the line, you have got to close this gap. So my call is on M. Lennox here for from Canada.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the Finnish rider, Bachman, now just kind of easing up a little bit. He's holding 3.2. It doesn't look like we're going to get a sprint out of this yet, which is too bad. It looks like Lennox is going to come in. We're gonna jump into this last group that we're going to follow here. Looks like Eric Denning off the front here, being chased by Graham Denny. Whitaker in the gap between the Denning group, and we can see Magnus coming up behind him. He wants to catch his boy Graham Denny. Does not want to be abused by Graham today. Definitely wants to stay ahead of Ju, the Korean rider, and they are in their own group. But it looks like Denning is going to get a big move here. Doesn't really have anybody to race except his own poor eating decisions. But it looks like he has bested those today. If you don't know this about Eric Denning, he has entered a 12-step recovery program for Oreo cookies, which has been going really, really well. You know, he takes it day by day. It's step by step. You just wake up in the morning, you make a plan, and you follow through. That's what Eric Denning would do, and he works on that every day. And it looks like he's on the road to recovery. We can see that with his great performance today here as a high B rider. He's outrun his guy Greg Magnus. He's outrun his guy Graham Denny, and looks like he's outrun the sleeve of Oreos and the milk that he would normally have at this time. We'll jump back to our ride leader Greg Magnus, who is gonna have one big sprint here. It looks like he's got a chance to catch Graham Denny, but he's got 7 seconds to pull back. He's got to do it now if he's going to do it. Graham says, "I'm not having any of this. I'm kicking mine up just a little bit more." And we'll call this as our last big finish for the day. As we come across this line here, we're going to go very quickly to the final results here. You're going to want to stick around and see that today. We definitely want to know all these details and what these folks finished at. We'll also do one final rundown for you before we're done. But we see Greg Magnus put in a kick here, but Ju is on the front and actually takes it from him. The Korean rider bests our ride leader just by a little bit. All right. As we move into the big close of the day, we want to say thank you to all our folks. We'll finish our final shot here with the leaderboard in just a moment, but I'll call to my guy Jay Flo and ask him to give us an understanding of how this race finished.
It was definitely an exciting race, and as we get my screen going up here, we've got we're going to start at our third rank, which is our first place finisher, A. Webb from the Team Vision. It was an awesome finish with Justin Wagner, just a 0.1 difference behind him. That is the size of less than a bike.
Yeah, it was a pip at the line. It was just a pip at the line.
That was amazing. And then our third place finisher is Faberowski from Russia, followed by Adam Boyko. That's the top 4 spots, and then followed into our 5th roundup to Johan Wallström from Sweden. That's our top 5 riders there, followed by, we're going to round it out to Okubo, Lennox from the B group, Bachmann, Whitaker, Denny, Ju, and then Magnus. That rounds up about our top 15 there as far as our riders, Chris.
Excellent. So as we fall back a little bit further in the group, and I am looking at the Zwift Power numbers, there are some other riders that you want to know lots about. Van Grondel coming across, South Kutin, Platonov, the Russian Federation rider, Moto, who you know very well, Tex, the Zone 5 racing rider. We love them. At 20th position, our first female rider crosses the line in Z. Kreider. We see Welch and Craddock, MK and Benjamin, Rink and Leach rounding out the next 6 positions. The Australian rider finishing 26th, and that is Leach, doing a great job. We see MGCC and Chu, Keith, Woods, Daly, and Okuda rounding out that top 30. Our second place women's rider today is Kala, flying the Chinese flag. A little bit further down, we see Komuro and Breens, Nordstrand, and Lang Barbie. They're in that group. A couple more names that you would recognize from this race week to week. Finishing 49th, Jorge Andrade. The C rider doing a great job. Baum, the D rider, finishing much higher than normal. She's calling herself a D rider, but she finished 52nd in over 70 starters. Great job. And Matsumura, currently the D rider, is our Lantern Rouge on the course. Schleider, who was there in the mix early on, right next to the Lantern Rouge. Great finishes from our folks today. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.